I came to Tokyo to escape the monster who broke my ribs. I just didn't realize my new boss, Kaito Tanaka, the heir to the Yakuza, was a different kind of monster entirely. One who just saw my bruises. I am a master of foundation. I've learned, through brutal, repetitive practice, that the high-coverage liquid kind, the one that smells faintly of clay, works best. I use a damp sponge, stippling, not wiping, to build the layers. It's a ritual, a prayer in beige, a thick, opaque mask to hide the mottled, sickening map of my ex-boyfriend's rage. Today, the mask had to be perfect. The bruise on my jaw was a masterpiece of his anger, a dark, swollen crescent that throbbed with a dull, constant beat. I could still hear his voice, thick with whiskey. Look at me when I'm talking to you, Elara. And the sound of the glass shattering against the wall by my head. That was 3 weeks ago. 2 days later, I was on a one-way flight from LA, my entire life packed into one suitcase and a carry-on. I'd spent my last dollar on that ticket, running from a man who promised to love me, and instead left me with 3 fractured ribs and a permanent flinch that hijacked my body at any sudden sound. Today was my first day. My first day as a junior translator for Tanaka Industries, the most powerful and most feared corporation in Tokyo. And it was my last chance. The Tanaka Industries Tower wasn't just a building. It was a blade of black glass and steel that cut the gray Tokyo sky. The lobby was the size of a cathedral and just as silent. Men and women in identical sharp, dark suits moved like shadows. No one spoke. No one laughed. The air was cold, sterile, and smelled faintly of expensive, citrus-based cleaning fluid. My heels clicked on the black marble floor, a sound so loud it felt like a confession. I was a fraud. A broken, terrified girl in a $40 blazer from a discount store, trying to play grown-up in a den of wolves. The elevator was silent, ascending 30 floors in a pocket of cold, conditioned air. It opened onto a floor of even more stark, silent minimalism. Glass walls, a single $1 million ink painting of a koi fish. And a quiet so deep, so absolute, it was intimidating. At the center of this glass and shadow empire, in the penthouse office, sat the man himself, Kaito Tanaka. He was young, maybe 28, 29 at most, but he moved with the ancient, dangerous grace of a resting predator. His suit was a midnight blue, tailored so sharply it could cut. His black hair was slicked back, revealing a stunning, severe face. High cheekbones, a strong jaw, a mouth that looked like it had never smiled. Tattoos, intricate blue-black dragons, peeked from his collar and snaked over the back of his hands. He didn't look up when the manager introduced me. He was listening to a man in a gray suit, who was bowing so low his forehead nearly touched the floor. Kaito just nodded, his storm gray eyes fixed on a bank of monitors. His focus absolute. The manager, a man sweating through his suit, introduced me in a breathy, nervous squeak. Kaito dismissed all of us with a short, sharp gesture. I was nothing to him. A piece of furniture. A new cog in his machine. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to be invisible. Where are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments. And if you're already hooked on this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more, so you don't miss what happens next. The morning was a blur of high-stakes, high-stress work. I was translating a pharmaceutical merger, documents so dense and technical they made my head spin. I kept my head down, my voice a steady, professional monotone, a human-to-computer interface. The intellectual property rights for the RY7 compound will be held in escrow. I droned, my mind splitting between complex legal Japanese and English. I was good at this. I could disappear into the language, become a conduit. It was the only time I felt safe, when I was just a voice, not a body. But my ribs ached, a deep, throbbing, grinding ache that started at my side and radiated out with every breath. I'd run out of my good painkillers 2 days ago, and the over-the-counter ones I'd bought at a 7-Eleven were like sugar pills. I must have shifted in my seat, a small, desperate attempt to find an angle that didn't send a jolt of fire through my side. I must have let out a small, quiet hiss of air through my teeth. I didn't even notice it. But in this tomb of an office, it was as loud as a gunshot. Kaito's head snapped up. I felt it before I saw it. The sudden, intense pressure of his gaze. His eyes, sharp as shattered glass, pinned me to my chair from 50 feet away through his glass wall. He didn't say anything. He just watched. A cold, analytical observation. My blood ran cold. He saw. He noticed. I forced myself back to the text, my face burning, my voice faltering for just a second. The compound, sir, I stammered before clearing my throat and forcing the monotone back. I could feel him staring, unblinking. It felt like an eternity, but it was probably only 10 seconds. It was the most intense scrutiny I had ever felt. It was not lecherous. It was diagnostic. He was a mechanic who had just heard a flaw in an expensive engine. Then, he looked back down at his monitor. I didn't breathe for a full minute. The rest of the day was torture, my awareness of him a screaming, high-pitched frequency in my brain. Later, I was the last one to leave, my hands shaking from the effort of holding myself together. I was gathering my bag, my movements stiff and sore, when he stepped out of his office, blocking my path to the elevator. He moved like smoke, silent. I hadn't even heard his door open. I physically jumped, a small, pathetic yelp escaping me. He was so tall. The air temperature around me seemed to drop 10 degrees. He smelled faintly of expensive soap and something metallic, like steel. "You are distracted, Miss Evans," he said. His voice was a low, smooth baritone, unaccented, that vibrated in my chest and made my sore ribs ache. "I do not pay for distractions." "No, sir. My apologies, Mr. Tanaka." I stammered, my eyes glued to the knot of his silk tie. I couldn't look at his face. "It was just a long day." I tried to step around him. He moved, a fluid, silent motion blocking me again. "Look at me when I am speaking to you." My blood turned to ice. That's what he used to say. Mark used to say that right before he'd grab my chin. I flinched. I couldn't help it. It was a full body recoil, my shoulder hunching, my hand coming up to shield my face. A pathetic, Pavlovian response. His hand shot out, fast as a snake, not to hit, but to grab my arm, steadying me. "Don't," I whispered. The word ripped from my throat, raw and terrified. He froze. His grip was iron, but the second I whimpered, his fingers loosened, though they didn't let go. His eyes dropped to my hand, then to my face. His gaze wasn't angry. It was something else. Analytical. Confused. He was a predator who had just stumbled on a different species' prey and was trying to figure out how it had been wounded. His gaze lingered on my jaw, where the makeup was thinnest. I knew, with a sickening lurch, that he saw. "My apologies, Mr. Tanaka," I babbled, yanking my arm back like I'd been burned. The touch, even though it wasn't violent, felt like a brand. I scrambled for my bag, which I dropped, papers scattering across the perfect black marble. It won't happen again. I was just tired. I'm clumsy. I didn't look at him. I couldn't. I gathered my things, my hands shaking so violently I could barely grip my pen. I fled, half running, to the restroom, my heart hammering against my broken ribs. I locked myself in a stall and collapsed against the wall, gagging, my lungs burning. Stupid. I had shown weakness. I had flinched. I had made myself a target. He saw me. He saw the crack in the facade. I gripped the cold marble sink, my reflection a pale, terrified ghost. My makeup had smudged, the angry purple of my jaw peeking through the beige. I'd escaped one monster, and now I was working for another. A Yakuza Heir. What in God's name was I thinking? This wasn't a corporation. This was a front. His world was violence and blood. I'd seen the men in the lobby, their tailored suits and broken noses, their hands never far from their jackets. They weren't security. They were guards. I had to be perfect. I had to be a ghost. I couldn't give him any reason to look at me, to notice me. For the rest of the week, I was a machine. I arrived 30 minutes early. I left 30 minutes late. I was the first one in, the last one out, besides him. I translated flawlessly. I didn't wince. I didn't flinch. I didn't breathe. I lived on painkillers and coffee. My entire being focused on the text on my screen. I wore my makeup like armor, thick and perfect. I took a different elevator. I timed my coffee breaks for when I knew he was in meetings. I did everything in my power to avoid him. I felt his eyes on me, a heavy, unreadable weight from across the floor. But I did not look up. I buried myself in my work, in the cold, clean lines of kanji and the emotionless language of corporate law. I would not give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. I just had to survive, get one paycheck, then another. Then I could find a different job. I just had to survive him. He was a different kind of danger. Not the hot, explosive, chaotic rage of Mark, but something cold, silent, and far more lethal. A python, not a rabid dog. And I was trapped in his glass tank, 30 floors up, with nowhere to run. A typhoon was bearing down on Tokyo. The city was shutting down, preparing for a direct hit. The office was a flurry of activity, people rushing to get home before the trains stopped. The sky outside the glass walls was a bruised, sickly greenish black, the wind already starting to howl. A low, mournful sound. I was packing my bag, a knot of panic in my stomach at the thought of riding this out alone in my tiny, paper-walled apartment. Mark had loved storms. The thunder had always set him off. The noise, the chaos. It had made his violence worse. I was already shaking. As I headed for the elevator, his voice came over my desk intercom. A disembodied command that cut through the noise of the emptying office. Miss Evans, my office. My stomach dropped. I walked the long, silent walk. He was standing by his window, a black silhouette against the churning, angry sky. He was perfectly still. The Kurosawa merger, he said, not turning. The final draft. It must be translated. My heart sank. Sir, the trains, the storm, they're shutting everything down. By morning, he turned. His face was unreadable, carved from stone. You will be compensated for your time. It wasn't a request. It was a fact. The building was shutting down. The rest of the office filed out. their sympathetic, pitying glances like small pebbles thrown at my back. "Good luck," one of the other translators whispered. Soon, the entire floor was dark, save for the cone of light from my desk lamp and the soft, menacing glow from his office. The building was empty. Just me and him. 30 floors up, with the wind starting to shriek outside, rattling the thick glass. Hours passed. I translated, my mind numb, my back seized. My ribs were twin daggers of fire. My vision swam. The city lights of Tokyo glittered, then vanished, one by one, into the rain and wind. The building groaned around us, a deep, unsettling sound. At 2 a.m, my door slid open. I jumped, my heart in my throat, a small scream dying on my lips. Kaito stood there, his tie gone, his collar open, his sleeves rolled up, revealing the full, breathtaking, terrifying ink that covered his arms from wrist to shoulder. Dragons and waves. He said nothing. He just placed a container of hot, steaming ramen on my desk. The smell of rich broth and pork was so good, it almost made me cry. And next to it, a small, white, unlabeled bottle. "Eat," he commanded, his voice soft but absolute. "The painkillers are from my personal physician. They are effective." He turned and walked back to his office. I just stared at the bottle, my heart hammering a dangerous, terrified rhythm. It was a kindness, a calculated, controlling, terrifying kindness. He had seen my flinch. He had seen my pain. And this was his response. Not comfort, not questions, just a solution, a chemical one. I was so hungry, and I was in so much pain. I ate the ramen. I took the pills. I must have dozed off, my head on the hard, cold desk. The translation finished, the scent of broth and sesame oil still in the air. The painkillers Kaito had given me hadn't just dulled the ache in my ribs. They had wrapped my mind in a thick, synthetic cotton, a false, heavy peace. The typhoon was a distant, roaring animal, but in here, 30 floors up, I was safe. The thought was so new, so foreign, that I sank into it, my body finally giving in to the exhaustion. A crash woke me. It wasn't the storm, it was a clang, a metallic, echoing human sound. It traveled up the elevator shaft from the lobby, 30 floors below. Then, shouting, a raw, familiar, slurred voice that ripped through my fuzzy, medicated brain and hit me like a bucket of ice water. "Elara, I know you're in there, you lying bitch. You can't hide from me." My blood didn't just run cold. It froze, solid. The taste of acid and cheap ramen flooded the back of my throat. It was Mark. He was here. He was in the building. He'd found me. He had followed me to Tokyo. I was paralyzed, a mouse frozen by the shadow of a hawk, my mind screaming, "Run, hide, run!" But my limbs were locked, my body still heavy from the pills. The elevator dinged, right on our floor. The sound was so polite, so civilized, for the monster it was about to reveal. The doors slid open, and there he was, drenched from the storm, his hair plastered to his skull, his eyes wild and bloodshot. He was flanked by 2 of the night security guards, who were trying to reason with him. "Sir, you can't be up here." "Ma'am, he said he was your brother," one of them started, his voice high and reedy. "There you are," Mark snarled. He saw me, and his face lit up with a possessive, furious triumph. He shoved the smaller guard aside and lunged. Before I could even scream, Kaito was moving. He wasn't a man. He was a shadow, a blur of motion. 1 second, he was in his office. The next, he was in front of my desk. A solid wall of bespoke blue wool between me and the nightmare. He was perfectly, terrifyingly calm. Yamero? Stop. The word was deathly quiet, but it cut through Mark's drunken roar. Mark, stupid and drunk and full of American arrogance, shoved Kaito. Get out of my way, pretty boy. I'm here for my property. Kaito didn't even blink. He didn't tense. He just tilted his head, a look of almost academic curiosity on his face. He made a small, sharp gesture with his hand, a flick of his fingers. I hadn't even seen them. 2 of his personal guards, men who looked like they were carved from granite in identical black suits, emerged from the shadows by the stairwell. They didn't arrest Mark. They didn't detain him. They took him. It was fast, brutal, and utterly silent. One moment, Mark was lunging, his hands reaching for me. The next, he was off his feet. One guard had his arm bent at an angle it shouldn't be. I heard a small, wet pop, while the other clamped a hand over his mouth, stifling his scream. Mark's eyes went wide with a sudden, sober terror. He tried to kick, but the man holding his arm simply twisted, and Mark's legs went limp. They dragged him, feet not even touching the floor, back into the elevator. The doors slid shut. Silence. The whole thing had taken less than 5 seconds. The only sound in the vast, dark office was the ragged, whimpering sound of my own breathing. I was shaking so hard I had to grip my desk, my knuckles white, my whole body vibrating. The adrenaline spike had burned through the painkillers, and now everything hurt. My ribs, my jaw, my head. Kaito turned to me. The violence was gone, erased as if it had never happened. He was just a man in a suit again, straightening his cuffs. But the air around him was different, charged, humming with a dangerous, absolute authority. He walked to me, slow, his movements deliberate, like I was a deer he didn't want to spook. He didn't speak. He just lifted a hand. I flinched again. I couldn't stop it. A smaller movement this time. A tremor. My eyes squeezing shut. His hand paused. He kept it there, suspended in the air between us. A silent, patient offering. I opened my eyes. He was watching me, his gaze intense, unreadable. When I stopped shaking, he completed the motion. With one thumb, he gently touched the corner of my jaw, right where the makeup had worn off, right on the peak of the bruise. His thumb was rough, calloused. A shiver went through me, but it wasn't fear. Not this time. It was something else. A jolt of electricity, a sudden, shocking warmth that spread from that single point of contact. He hadn't hurt me. He had protected me. He did this, he stated. It wasn't a question. I could only nod. A single hot tear tracing a clean path through my foundation. His eyes. I've seen cold, but this was something else. This was the 0-point emptiness of a winter night. The rage was there, but it was so cold, so deep. It was absolute. It was terrifying. He will not touch you again. He said it with the simple finality of a god passing judgment. He took my arm, his grip firm but not painful, and led me not to the elevator, but to a hidden panel in his office wall. It slid open, revealing a small, luxurious lounge. A safe room. He poured me a glass of whiskey. Dark, expensive-looking liquid. My hand was shaking so hard, he had to guide the glass to my lips. "Tell me," he said, and the story poured out. The real story. Not the clumsy, tired excuses. The running, the fear, the isolation, the years of walking on eggshells. The night he'd broken my ribs because I was 15 minutes late from work. The lies I'd told the doctors. The way he'd tracked my phone, my emails. The sheer, suffocating terror. He just listened. He sat across from me, his stillness a terrifying, solid comfort. He didn't offer pity. He didn't offer platitudes. He just listened, his gray eyes never leaving mine, as if he were memorizing every word. What do you think Kaito's men are doing to Mark right now? For 3 days, I lived in a strange, protected, unreal bubble. The typhoon had passed, leaving Tokyo washed clean. Kaito had me moved from my tiny, insecure apartment to a vast, empty corporate suite in his own building. "For security," he'd said, his tone leaving no room for argument. He had a driver, a silent man with a scar on his neck, take me to and from the office, even though it was just an elevator ride. He said nothing about Mark, and I was too afraid to ask. I just existed. And a strange, fragile thing started to happen. I started to breathe. I started to sleep through the night without nightmares. I felt safe. The thought was so novel, it was almost painful. I started to see the man, not the monster. The way he'd listened to an entire report before speaking. His focus, absolute. The way his hands, so inked and dangerous, were surprisingly gentle when he passed me a document. The way his presence in the office was no longer a source of fear, but a strange, anchoring weight. I even, on the 3rd day, made him a joke in the elevator. A stupid, nervous joke about the typhoon. "I guess we survived," I'd said. He didn't laugh, but the corner of his mouth, I think it almost twitched. It was the most human expression I'd seen from him, and it made my heart do a stupid, dangerous little flip. And then, I saw it. I was in the break room, getting coffee. The morning sun was streaming in, and I felt, for the first time, almost normal. The news was on the big television, a local anchor speaking in cheerful, professional Japanese. And then they switched to an international report. "An American tourist," the anchor said, as they showed a photo from a driver's license. My stomach dissolved. It was Mark. Then the screen changed, showing a blurred, awful image on a gurney. He was found in an alley near the docks, beaten, unrecognizable. He is currently in a coma, life-threatening injuries. The coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the tile. "Mark," I whispered. "In a coma." I ran. I didn't care about protocol. I burst into Kaito's office, my breath coming in ragged, horrified sobs. He was on the phone, speaking rapid, angry Japanese. "You!" I accused, my voice shaking with a new kind of horror. "You did that." He hung up the phone, slowly, placing it on the receiver. He looked at me, his face a perfect, calm mask. "I did what was necessary." "He's in the hospital!" I screamed, my voice echoing in the silent office. "He's in a coma! Kaito, you nearly killed him!" "He was a problem," Kaito said, his voice flat, devoid of emotion, as if he were discussing a bad stock trade. I solved it. He will no longer be a threat to you or to the security of this company. I stared at him. The man who had gently touched my bruise. The man who I had joked with. The monster I had let protect me. The monster I had almost liked. You're just like him, I whispered, the heartbreak shattering my voice, more painful than any of Mark's punches. You're just a different kind of animal. I turned and ran. I ran for real this time, not just to the bathroom. I grabbed my purse from the corporate suite, his suite, and I didn't stop running. I left the building, left his protection, and ran into the clean morning after the storm air. I ran until my lungs burned and my ribs screamed in protest. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to be away from him. I found a cheap, hourly capsule hotel in a back alley in Shinjuku, a plastic coffin for the night, and locked the flimsy, rattling door. I huddled inside the small, claustrophobic tube, the air smelling of stale cigarettes and bleach. I could hear other people coughing, snoring, whispering through the thin plastic walls. I was surrounded by strangers, and I had never felt more alone. I sat in the dark, the adrenaline fading, leaving only the cold, hard, terrifying truth. I was alone. Again. I had run from Mark's chaotic, drunken violence, only to run into Kaito's cold, calculated, executive-level brutality. I cried. I cried for my own stupidity. I had trusted a snake because it had killed the rat that was biting me. I had seen the kindness, the ramen, the painkillers, the way he'd stood in front of me, and I had mistaken it for gentleness. He wasn't gentle. He was just effective. He was a monster, a different kind of animal, just as I'd said. But as the hours passed, as I huddled in that plastic box, a new thought, a poisonous, cold thought, began to creep in. Mark had hit me for burning toast. He had broken my ribs because I was 15 minutes late from work. His violence was unpredictable, emotional, chaotic. It was the violence of a weak man trying to feel strong, and it was all pointed at me. Kaito had broken him for touching me. Kaito's violence was about order. It was a wall, a fortress. It was brutal. It was dark. And it was wrong. But it had been for me. It had been protective. Mark would have found me. The guards in the lobby couldn't stop him. He would have dragged me back. He would have, eventually, killed me. I knew that, deep in my bones. Kaito hadn't hurt me. He had erased the threat. He had done it the only way a man like him knew how. He didn't use words, or restraining orders, or the police. He used force, absolute and final. I had to choose. A world of normal men who would leave me for dead, who would offer sympathy but no protection. A world where I was vulnerable to every Mark Sisson who walked the earth. Or a world with a monster who would kill for me. I huddled in the dark, my choice a cold, heavy stone in my gut. I was choosing between two hells. But one hell had been a prison for me, and the other was a fortress around me. The sun was coming up when I slid out of the capsule. My makeup was gone, my face pale and puffy, the yellow-green of my bruises on full display for the entire world. I didn't care. I walked out into the waking streets of Tokyo, the city clean and bright after the storm. I walked for miles, my mind empty, my body on autopilot, until I was standing in front of the Tanaka Industries Tower. It looked different in the morning light, less a blade and more a shield, reflecting the pink and orange sky. I walked into the lobby. The new morning shift guards didn't stop me. They averted their eyes, bowing their heads, a new kind of deference in their posture. They had clearly heard what had happened. They knew who I was now. I was his. I took the elevator up, the silence no longer intimidating, just empty. I didn't stop until I was at his penthouse office. The door was open. He was still there, standing by the vast glass window, watching the sunrise. He was still in the suit from yesterday, the blue wool wrinkled. He looked tired. He heard me enter, the scuff of my shoe on his marble floor, but he didn't turn. "You came back," he said. It wasn't a question. It was a fact. I walked up behind him, my reflection in the glass, a pale, broken ghost next to his dark, powerful silhouette. He would have killed me, wouldn't he? I said, my voice quiet, hoarse. Yes. No hesitation. And what he did to you? Kaito's voice was rough. That was only the beginning. He would have done it again and again. I knew he was right. I stepped closer until I was standing beside him, our shoulders almost touching. We watched the sun paint the city in shades of gray and pink. The silence stretched, filled with everything we weren't saying. "I'm not like you, Kaito," I whispered, my voice breaking. I can't be okay with what you did. I can't be the kind of person who is. He finally turned to look at me, his gray eyes searching mine. He saw my bare face, the bruises. His jaw tightened, a muscle flicking in his cheek. "I am not asking you to be," he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "I am not asking you to be me. I am only asking you to be safe." He held out his hand, palm up. A silent offer. Not of love, not of forever. Just this. Protection. A cage. A fortress. It was a contract, written in blood and ink. I looked at his hand, at the inked dragons and the calloused skin. I thought of the capsule hotel, of the fear, of the sickening feeling of being hunted. I took a deep breath, the air still tasting of fear, but also of finality. I placed my hand in his. His fingers closed around mine, warm and strong. He didn't pull me closer. He just held on. Miles away, in a sterile, brightly lit office in Langley, Virginia, a different man stared at a screen. This was Special Agent Thorne, a man with a severe military haircut and a cheap, unlit cigar in his mouth. The office was quiet, professional, a stark contrast to the dark, emotional world of Tokyo. On the screen was a grainy security feed photo. Kaito Tanaka in the lobby of his building, his hand holding that of a small, pale, bruised American girl. Elara Evans. The door to the office opened, and a man in a full Marine dress uniform stormed in, his face a mask of thunder. This was Colonel Sisson, Mark's older brother. "Thorne," he snapped, his voice a drill command. "That's her. That's the girl. My brother is in a coma in a foreign hospital, and that animal is walking around free." Thorne didn't look up from the screen. "We know, Colonel. We've been monitoring Tanaka for years. He's untouchable. His hold on the Tokyo shipping lanes is absolute. We can't get to him." The hell we can't. Sisson slammed his hand on the desk. He just made a mistake. He just showed us his weakness. That girl. She's an American citizen. My brother's girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. Thorne corrected, his voice dry. And according to the reports, he wasn't exactly a model citizen himself. I don't care if he was the devil, Sisson roared. He's my blood, and he's an American. Tanaka crippled him. I want retribution, and you want leverage. That girl is your leverage. Thorne finally looked up, a grim, calculating smile on his face. Yes, she is. Tanaka has never shown a personal interest in anyone. Not like this. He's moved her into his building. He's assigned his personal detail. He's exposed. He picked up his phone. Get me the Tokyo station chief. I want a full-time surveillance team on Elara Evans. I want to know everywhere she goes, everyone she talks to. I want to know what she eats for breakfast. He looked back at the colonel. We're not going to touch Tanaka. We're going to touch her. We're going to let him know that his new acquisition is not as safe as he thinks. Let's see just how protective the Yakuza Heir really is. What was your favorite part of Elara and Kaito's story? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.